we're back with our video sit-downs. John Bonin is across the table from me. We're talking District Court Judge for Mason County. So first thing, tell everybody about you. Give us a bit of your background and why you're running.
Okay. I'm not somebody who, this is the first time I've ever run for office. And I am not somebody who really likes to talk about myself all that much. I consider my job to be focused on clients, focused on telling their story, not my own. And I'm going to do something that I have never done before. In anticipation, I kind of sat down and I gathered up my courage and I decided to sit down and actually write down all of the things that I've ever done, which I would never do in the normal world.
Okay.
I did my first public service announcement at the age of 13, and it was for the Community Organization for Drug Abuse Control. I still remember all the words. I got my first job with permission from my parents at the age of 13. By 15, I was working 2 jobs while attending high school. I bought and paid for my first car and my insurance at the age of 16. I ran lights and did road crew for a local band while working 2 jobs and going to school. I graduated high school at the age of 17. I was one of 5 kids. By the time I graduated, I could not afford, and my parents could not afford sending me to a university. And at the age of 17, issues related to funding for yourself and student loans were an impact at that time. So I worked 2 jobs while I went to community college. I got my first apartment at the age of 18. I transferred from community college to a university and worked as a night watchman for a small construction yard so I'd have free lodging for the first 6 months after I transferred. I worked 2 jobs while I went to the university the entire time I was there. In addition to working, I volunteered time in both the university television and radio station while attending my classes. I was the treasurer of the pre-law club. I received a Reader's Digest scholarship to attend a seminar in media law and the First Amendment. In my senior year, I worked for an NBC affiliate and a gas station while going to school, while volunteering time in between newscasts to write news for the next newscast. As a result, I produced my first newscast at that station during my senior year. After graduation, I was immediately hired by the NBC affiliate in Tucson, Arizona. I started as a camera operator and continued my pattern of volunteering until I became only the second person in the history of that television station to transfer from the production crew to the news department. I produced public affairs shows for that station every week, and the public affairs programming I produced was the most watched of them all. I got ratings, Dedrick, for public affairs programming. I went to law school. Oh, I neglected one. I was the associate producer for the noon newscast at that television station, which enjoyed a 48 share, including cable. I believe you know what that means. Mm-hmm. What that means is basically 48% of the televisions that were turned on during that time were watching my work. I went to law school. I was the recipient of the Bill Curtis Media Law Scholarship. I was president of the Public Interest Law Association at my law school. I led the team for production of the Family Law Client Counseling Competition at my law school. I served 2 semesters in the law clinic, providing free legal services to the indigent. I served as the constitutional law professor's assistant in litigation related to federal penitentiaries. I worked as an apartment manager in low-income housing and worked in television while in law school. I worked in the law library as a legal intern for and also for a small employment law firm while in law school. I took and passed the Washington State Bar the first time I took it without taking a refresher course that most law students take before they try to take it. I worked as the associate for the leader of the Washington State Republican Party, who liked me so much that he never even thought to ask me my party affiliation. I served in Kiwanis. I served as a board of director for a domestic violence shelter. I spent time acting in a local theater company, 3 plays in 3 years. It was fun, I want to tell you. I volunteered time at Columbia Legal Services while studying for the bar. I've been a member of both the Washington State Trial Lawyers Association and what is now called, which is the Washington Association of Justice. I've been a member of the Washington State Public Defenders Association. I moved to Shelton. I opened a practice with next to nothing. And I turned that practice into what it is today. What it is today is, I believe, shown by the tremendous amount of support that I have been getting. With the exception of maybe 10 signs that I keep having to put back up because I keep getting knocked down, every single Bonin for Judge sign you see is being put up by the people who support me. As a businessman and a father, I devoted the next 15 years of my life after coming here to the development of my child and of my business. I briefly served on the Mason County Housing Authority for about 6 months, and I ended up leaving because we had no bank account. I ended up leaving because we were ineffective. We could do nothing, and every effort that I made to try was dealt with some difficult circumstances. I wanted to help the homeless, and I still want to help the homeless. And I do that in other ways. I'm on the roster now as a pro tem judge. That's about all I could come up with. I've never, ever articulated a list of my accomplishments before. If you go to my Bonin for Mason County District Court Judge Facebook page, you're going to see what my real accomplishments are.
Okay.
And what that is the things that people have given me an appreciation over the years. I work and have worked in this community for internationally publicly traded corporations, and I have worked for people who could not afford to pay me in anything but pies and vegetables. That is the accomplishment.
So with all this that's been said, you're telling me that differentiates you from the rest of them?
No, that wasn't the question that was asked, I don't think.
No, it wasn't, but I'm just
okay.
saying,
No, you want to know?
Different direction, or a different way to answer the question.
Absolutely, Dedrick. Let me tell you what differentiates me, okay? If you know what district court is, and you know what it stands for and what it's supposed to be, district court, it provides almost every avenue of justice that people in Mason County seek. If you look at my webpage for my business and you look at the reviews that I've gotten from people, you will find that I am the person that people call to ask nearly anything about the law. Why? Because I have done everything in 22 years. I have been a general practice litigator who has done everything over the course of my service. I have not done patents because patents require special licensing. Everything that is going to come before me as a judge for Mason County District Court is something that I have done, and more probably than not, I have done on both sides. There are some things that I don't do any longer, but I have done, or I have at least second chaired, if you know what that means. I do not do felonies, neither does the district court. I do not do felonies because I believe that if you were going to go to prison, not jail, prison, you should be employing someone who does nothing but defense of people who go to prison. I do not do bankruptcies, neither does the district court. I don't do bankruptcies because it is bad for all the other business that I have. And I don't do family law with small children involved because I no longer feel good about pursuing that type of avenue. Everything else I pretty much continue to do, and I do it well. When you're looking at district court and you're looking at what comes before you, the experiences that I have are the things that are going to make me not a good judge, but a great judge. The most important thing that a judge can do is listen. Be fair. Administer justice. Be impartial, and the most important part of that mantra that I have is inspire. There are 5 candidates for Mason County District Court Judge right now, including myself. I think I know myself. I know 3 of them, and I know them well. I have nothing bad to say about any of them. I'm going to tell you what I believe their skills are. George Steele is a largely bankruptcy and family law attorney who has some time, 9 years I believe, as a City of Shelton judge, and he pro tems occasionally in the Mason County District Courthouse. George Steele is, in my opinion, someone who I would classify as a disciplinarian. He has that take when he's applying justice in his courtrooms. Stephen Greer, wonderful man. He has 25 years on the bench in one way, shape, or another, or form. He has tremendous passion for juvenile court circumstances, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a compassionate and passionate man. Eric Valley, he does largely felony representation, some family law. I think he dabbles in a few of the other things that happen. He's a local boy. He grew up here. He knows so many people. He's tied well to this community, and he's going to identify well with the people who were before him because he went to school with them. I've been out here for 16 and a half, getting on to 17 years. Every single quality that I have mentioned for every single one of the people that I know, because I don't know Gene Austin. I'm surprised I don't know Gene Austin because a lot of the work that he indicates he does, I do. But every single one of the qualities, and they're all qualities, that I have outlined for you are things that I actually have. I'm all of that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It does. I want to ask you one question here on my list. What is the biggest issues that you see facing the district court?
Wow. Okay. First off, that is not a surprising question. You were very honorable and you gave us a list of questions to look at. I tried to do a little bit of preparation. I didn't do a whole lot of preparation, okay? I didn't really have to on this one. Growth and budget.
Okay.
Some people think, erroneously, I'm sorry, but some people think that judges don't have issues with working with budgets. I heard one person say just a couple days ago, well, they might sit down and work over a budget with their court administrator, Patsy. And Patsy, by the way, is wonderful. I want to talk to you about the employees at some point here, okay? They might sit down and work briefly with Patsy to go over a budget, but their job is to apply the law and apply it fairly. How am I going to apply the law and apply it fairly, serve justice and be an inspiration to people if I have somebody who needs to go to jail and I'm going to say to them, I'm sorry, Mr. Smith. You've had every chance that I can possibly give you to turn it around. And that's an important issue to me, Dedrick, to turn people around. I've given you every chance to turn this around, and now you're going to have to go to jail. So, you're going to go to jail eventually. I want you to call in on every Tuesday when the moon is full to find out when it's open. That's not a good message. Oh, we have a warrant here. I want you to round him up, take his picture, and send him back, because we don't have room. That's not a good message. What are we telling people? We're telling the criminal element that our justice system has no teeth. We're telling the people who are problems, come ye to Shelton. They can't do anything. Come to Mason County. That's not the message that we should be sending. Growth and budget. We have the same level of support staff right now that we did in 1987. We have more than doubled our population since 1987, and the sky, we have a great EDC now. We have massive changes in the works. The sky is the limit for this community. I am sorry, but the best kept secret of the beauty of Mason County is out. They're coming. We need to adapt. We need to change.
So let's talk about you wanted to talk about employees, but it's a little bit more than that with me. It's about the service level that the district court would provide. How do we continue to keep those people there to provide as much service as possible?
The way you phrased the written question,
Yeah,
I did like a handwritten. When you asked that question, it says here, service levels, salaries, and staffing. What steps can you take to make sure the current level of service will continue? My notes, little blurb right here, underlined. Wrong question.
Okay.
What steps to make it better? Inspire people. We need to inspire people. When you ask about the employees, okay, Judge Meadows has been doing this since 1995. She's phenomenal. When I'm looking now at the level of work that she has to do, and that she does on a daily basis, that's an inspiration. And she does it so quietly. When you look at what the staff is doing there and how they do it on a daily basis, it's incredibly inspiring. They are shorthanded. They've been shorthanded for a long time. A wonderful employee by the name of Lisa, who used to work there, she moved on to Thurston County District Court. I see her because I go, Dedrick. Another thing about me, I have been in almost every courtroom in the state of Washington. I started on the other side of the mountains, being Dale Foreman's go-to guy, which meant go to Walla Walla, okay? And I moved over here, and I have literally visited and I've been exposed to all manner of judges. They're all people. They all have different temperaments. They all have different ways of administering justice. That's why I'm able to identify the traits of other people. Judge Meadows is doing the work of 1.5 judges and addressing after-hour warrants. She has pro tems that come in because there are multiple cases being heard in district court at the same time. You've got speedy trial issues. You've got things that are happening that impact, and we have to take care of those issues. We have to meet our essential services. We have to meet our fiduciary duty to the county. You've got one administrator in Patsy Robinson who is the American work ethic defined. That lady started at the bottom and she worked her way up. I have never had a bad interaction with Patsy Robinson. She is so amazing in how she puts things together. And again, she's one of those people, if you didn't have to work with her and didn't know she was there, you would never know she was there. Tanya came to this community. She's the assistant for Patsy. Tanya came, or I don't know if she came to this community. I know that she started working at district court about the same time I started showing up there. So I watched her go from being a clerk, learning the ropes, to about 6 months ago I was in district court, and I watched her have more knowledge than a lot of the attorneys in the room. I watched her assist people without providing legal advice, because they can't provide legal advice. But I watched her assist pro se people without representation, which is a large part of district court, helping them get through the ropes. And it was seamless. It was amazing. I even commented to her that she reminded me of the first paralegal that I ever worked with. Because you want to know something about law school? It doesn't teach you how to practice law. It teaches you how to think like a lawyer, kind of. The people who teach you how to practice law are the paralegals who've been doing it for 30 years at your first job. Tanya's at that level. Unfortunately, because of the very, very high pressure and tremendous workload that exists for the district court employees, the turnover there is pretty significant. The employees that currently exist there right now, Mary, Tiffany, Camille, Mariah, Bailey, and Socorro. All of them seem very dedicated. All of them seem to care. All of them seem inspired, but they're burnt out or they're burning out. We need to address that. But at the same time, we have to understand something else. We are there to service the county. We are working, we're being paid. If there's going to be inconvenience, the inconvenience is our burden. It's not the citizens that we serve, because that's why they call it work. So there's a mid-range. We have to understand and accept our fiduciary duty to the people that we serve, and we have to work within our budget, and we have to work within our limitations. So what am I going to do? I'm going to try to do what I can to keep morale as high as I possibly can. I'm going to participate in the judicial meetings and the judicial conferences. I'm going to do one of the most important things I think that is involved in this job, in addition to the actual job, of doing everything I can to cooperatively work with every other department in Mason County so that we can properly and effectively share our resources so that we can all streamline our budgets and hopefully increase morale. I'm also going to do everything I possibly can, and I want to point out something to you. In 2017, Judge Meadows wrote a letter to the commission. I don't know if you've ever seen that letter.
I probably have, but okay.
I haven't. It was written on November 1st, 2017. This is Judge Meadows talking. District Court has not been properly staffed for several years. We have managed to get by. However, the service to the public is compromised. Just like telling a person who needs to have the lesson of jail that they're going to go to jail eventually, we can't have a situation where the service to the public is compromised. I'm a civil lawyer. I'm licensed in state and federal court. I do civil rights work. We can't have a situation where our judge is reporting to our commission that services are being compromised. I mean, she has to come forward and say this, but we can't have that situation happen. It's not a question of if we're going to get sued, Dedrick. It's a question of when. I'm going to be as vocal as possible discussing that issue, and I'm going to point out to the commissioners that we need to be creative in how we get our resources. We need to go back to the legislature and say, hey, you started a law and justice center back in the 80s or early 90s. You started to give us what all the other counties have, and then you cut us off. We need that. The McCleary decision can generate a lot of the educational decision. You know, I see the same thing happening in our court systems. And I don't know if you know this or not. You may or may not know this, but Superior Court actually gets funding from the state. Mason County District Court doesn't. We're entirely county funded. We need to put pressure to get the state to develop the Superior Court as much as possible so that we can expand our district court using the budget that's available.
Good, John. There's a lot of things to think about in what you've said here today, and I hate to cut you off, but we got to wrap this thing up because.
Okay, I can be briefer.
Yeah, I'm just real quickly. Sum it up. Why we should put you on the bench. If you could do it in 30 seconds, I'd be really impressed.
You want a 30-second soundbite.
Yeah,
I'm the right guy at the right time for the right reasons, and I'm not blowing smoke. This is not ego. I'm a successful lawyer. My practice is going off the charts. I started my business with $250, a laptop computer, a fax machine that doubled as my photocopier, and I had Catch-A-Call hooked up to that so I could do the internet at the same time. I know how to work a budget. I know how to do this. And I'm a fair, impartial, justice-wielding attorney who, one of the most important things about what I want to do is inspire. I have in my services, when I'm doing alternative work, when I'm doing diversions for people, I sit down with my clients and I tell them that what the minimums are, what's going to get you through the diversion programs, it's not enough. If you want to go out and have a job after, you need to double that. I inspire people, and I can inspire people from the bench. I am really, really impressed with the caliber of the candidates that we have this year. I think we have a lot of changes going forward. One of the things that I'm loving to see right now and what I want to address is we have moral recognition therapy as part of our alternative sentencing right now. And that is what I'm all about. Catching the people who are in district court when they're on their first and their second offenses and turning them around, because everyone in the world inherently believes that they are a good person. We just have to help them and get them to the tools to be that way. And that's what we can do in district court.
I think you're the right guy to do it.
That's what I say. And if you agree, vote for me. Thank you, sir.